This is Press Play Northwest Radio. I'm Bruce Poinsett.
And I'm Donovan Smith.
And you're tuned into the official radio show of Press Play Northwest, your destination for deep dives into Northwest hip-hop's most provocative visuals. Join us live on Zoom, where we give you music video screenings, facilitated discussions, and exclusive interviews and audience Q&A with local artists. Our next live is this Wednesday, July 22nd at 5:30 with special guest Rashid Jamal. Registration is required, and we'll have more details on that later on in the show.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. Rashid is one of my favorite artists, so tonight you do not want to miss, I promise you. Be on the lookout for updates from Press Play Northwest. You can do that by following the hashtag PressPlayNW. For now, though, we're going to get into a little bit of music. Up next, we've got Alone by the band Stress, followed by a special Rebellion Report episode. So you'll get to hear me and Bruce go at it for a little bit about the streets of Portland. And yeah, we'll be back in just a second. Again, you're tuned in to Press Play Northwest Radio. Be back in a bit.
Girl, you need to know what I just ain't been on my phone. I've been out here rocking shows and I've been focused on my goals. And I put that on my dad, but I don't mean to make you mad. But I need to go get this bag the best way that I know how to. Girl, you need to know what I just ain't been on my phone. I've been out here rocking shows and I've been focused on my goals. And I put that on my dad, but I don't mean to make you mad. But I need to go get this bag the best way that I know how to. Blowing up my phone, you know I got a show. She say when you coming home, I've got dinner on the stove. Hey, I am on the road, don't know when I'm coming home. She said don't leave me alone, please answer your phone. You know how it go, met you at a show, got the number then I'm gone. Had to get back up on the road, remember them times I was there broke. I could be out here slanging that, I could be out here, I could be out here doing the most, but you know that's not what I'm. Girl, you need to know what I just ain't been on my phone. I've been out here rocking shows and I've been focused on my goals. And I put that on my dad, but I don't mean to make you mad. But I need to go get this bag the best way that I know how to. Girl, you need to know what I just ain't been on my phone. I've been out here rocking shows and I've been focused on my goals. And I put that on my dad, but I don't mean to make you mad. But I need to go get this bag the best way that I know how to. I remember good times, I remember great times. If I'm out of town, girl, hit me on the FaceTime. I will grab your waistline, groove it to the baseline. You know I got your back, love, you just gotta take mine. Heard it through the grapevine, you been feeling ways for some time. I tried to play the cool guy. Truth is I was too shy, we finally started talking. You and I in my apartment, you know that I ain't sharp as iron. So you and I are like katana. Girl, you need to know what I just ain't been on my phone. I've been out here rocking shows and I've been focused on my goals. And I put that on my dad, but I don't mean to make you mad. But I need to go get this bag the best way that I know how to. Girl, you need to know what I just ain't been on my phone. I've been out here rocking shows and I've been focused on my goals. And I put that on my dad, but I don't mean to make you mad. But I need to go get this bag the best way that I know how to.
So you just heard Alone by Stress, This is Press Play Northwest Radio. So as my co-host mentioned earlier, we're doing a special Rebellion Report episode today because, the feds have invaded Portland and are, literally brutalizing and kidnapping people on the streets. So, it felt like we usually dedicate like 3 or 4 minutes towards the end of the show, but it felt like we might want to dive into this, dive into the happenings a little bit more. So, yeah, again, we've had agents from Homeland Security in the streets in, military fatigues, driving around, not identifying themselves, snatching up protesters in unmarked cars, taking them to undisclosed locations, later learned to be the Justice Center. Also, brutalizing people. I mean, we talked about this a little bit last week, but really shot a guy in the face with, less lethal rounds, among other things. So, things are real out here.
And all that stuff is relative, right? Like, this dude had to get surgery on his face. Portland police have been declaring riots when people are just standing around. So you can only imagine what the police, the federal police, weaponized by Donald Trump, are doing to people out here. I've seen people who have been out there every night talking about even the type of CS gas, the tear gas that has been used by the federal agents has been felt stronger to people. And again, mind you, we're in a pandemic, so it's already a violent act. But the fact that they're using this during a pandemic is even scarier, and people who are not even part of the protests are being affected by this as well. And the Hip Hop Stands Up group, they just had a protest out there that got broke up because of the federal agents. Again, soon as Commissioner Joanne Hardesty, she came down there and ended up speaking because she had scheduled something around the same time and merged with Hip Hop Stands Up. Soon as she left, they're throwing tear gas again. So it's a real flagrant time. Nothing is really covert about what's happening. This is all the things that we were worried about 4 years ago, essentially. These things are happening, and Portland is kind of the epicenter.
Yeah, just to reiterate that point, it's like, no, this is subtle. This is this is fascism 101. This is the playbook. And for those who haven't been following, President 45 has said, has announced plans that he's trying to do the same thing in other cities led by Democratic leaders. So, there was a bunch of national news articles over last week. I think there was one in Esquire basically saying, they're trying to Pinochet us in broad daylight. For those who, aren't familiar with the history, Augusto Pinochet was a Chilean dictator who was known for, secret police disappearing people. I think also, very famous for, throwing people out of helicopters. So, among other brutal acts, of tyranny. So, what we're watching now is straight up out of that playbook, out of, when we watch this stuff happen in so many other countries around the world, of just, again, people being disappeared, brutal crackdowns, like, it's real right now. So, vote, among other things. But, yeah. With that, on a lighter note, we'd like to take a minute to remind you that if you haven't yet signed up for the 2020 census, please do that now. The census determines where vital public resources, i.e. the resources you already pay for with your tax dollars, get distributed, and Black and brown communities are notoriously undercounted. To put things in perspective, every person counted is worth an estimated $3,200. Pledging takes very little time and goes a long way to ensuring your community has what it needs between now and the next census in 2030. You can pledge to take the census by texting Oregon to 33339. Once again, that's Oregon, OREGON, to 33339. And for more information, visit WeCountOregon.com.
And we wanted to give you a little bit of Northwest hip hop updates in the midst of our rebellion. Amine actually released his new track list for his brand new album, Limbo, which is coming out on August 7th. And it has features from Vince Staples, Charlie Wilson, and a Young Thug feature from his new single, Contemplating. Also, Mic Check is back. Not at the White Eagle. It's Mic Check under quarantine right now. So they'll be coming back on August 20th with Big Wino, The Duchess, and Grand National August 20th at 6 p.m. So, you know, we can't really gather like we want to, but still check out Mic Check. And you can follow them on Instagram as well. But yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no. Yeah, we got more, we got more music for you now before we kind of get back into talking about, what's happening on the streets in Portland. So up next, we got Summation by Archie. Again, you're tuned into Press Play Northwest Radio. We'll be back in a bit.
I've been hurt so many ways, been done so many wrongs, but the bullshit fades away, and I just keep moving on. Oh why, I can't tell you what it gives me drive to dig deep and rise above. Life is just a million choices in summation, so there ain't no way that I can get this shit wrong. I've been hurt so many ways, been done so many wrong, but the bullshit fades away, and I just keep moving on. Oh why, I can't tell you, no, what it gives me drive to dig deep and rise above. Life is just a million choices in summation, so there ain't no way that I can get this wrong.
You just heard Summation by Archie. This is the Press Play Northwest podcast in your special extended Rebellion Report edition. So, in other news happening on the streets, recently found out that the feds did meet with interesting faction of the police. Specifically, they met with a representative of the Portland Police Portland Police Association, which is the police union here, very notorious for, protecting, defending, perpetrators of police brutality. And yeah, we had found out that I guess they've been talking that they're, even though the mayor's said he refuses to meet with them, even though I want to say, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that then the police chief also refused to meet with the feds. But the fact that, the union, again, with their reputation, is in a much, friendlier relationship. And is, if I remember, the reporting correctly, is trying to figure out, where they could work together. at no point did they seem to express much concern with, kidnapping people, being unidentified and brutalizing people, shooting people in the face. So, that was interesting. And also interestingly, I guess, was it 2-3 days after that report came out, police association building just so happened to go on fire. So
it has been hot. It has been hot out here.
Yeah, it's really, nature is crazy that way, isn't it? But yeah, you have any thoughts on this kind of friendly relationship?
Well, I think it's, obvious. If you're talking about the current president, you don't like the current president. The president is who mobilized these federal troops coming into Portland in camouflage. If your police union is meeting with these people, it's not hard to do tic-tac-toe on this. This isn't even chess. This is literally tic-tac-toe. So that's where your alignment is. And I think you need to pay attention to what's being said in the press. At least I have, in terms of who's having a microphone. The police union has had a strong microphone during this moment. And, they're calling for more money, and it feels like they're propagating certain violence that is happening within our, in Black communities and poor communities, to justify more funding rather than looking at the structural reasons as to why that violence is happening in the first place, which is straight out of the playbook of people like our president, but people who came before this current president as well. So I would say just look for the alignment, Yeah, that's the major thing that I'm looking at right now. But yeah, it's crazy how buildings catch on fire.
Yeah, just a shame. It's a real shame. Yeah. Again, I think it's, a big part of when we've been, having these various debates, discussions, calls for defunding the police. And, obviously the biggest bullhorn in both defending officers who've actually, brutalized, killed people, profiled people, but also in just really pushing back against any kind of reform for police departments is police unions. And here it's been Portland Police Association. And so you have this group that's as the bullhorn, but also disseminating a bunch of information within its own networks, within different people connected to the police that, wield so much political power that, again, that they're so buddy with federal agents that are, violating our city, violating people's rights just out in the open. Like, if there was anything that highlighted, why it was so crucial and why it was so important that in Seattle they expelled that union, and why, you need other communities to follow suit. I mean, again, we're in the midst of really it's like a fascist invasion, and the police union apparently is just like, yeah, seems all right, seems what we need. So again, if that doesn't highlight the structural issues and the need for serious, not just reform, but like radical restructuring, that's it.
I think it's really telling as well. Like, you just have to kind of look at things like when the curfew first got set a month ago or so. That curfew led to more protests. When Donald Trump mobilized federal agents into Portland, now people are literally flying into Portland to help protest. So you have to think what is actually happening when the people who are saying, or the orders that are being put out in the name of protection of the people, quote unquote, what is actually coming with that, So, yeah.
So, speaking of radical change and people out here pushing for radical reform, as before we transition to our final song of the day, did want to talk about the Write-In Rayford campaign, because Teresa Rayford has been out here really just pounding the pavement, doing a lot of important work, and also is in the mayor's race, but at this point, because of what happened in the primaries, would need a write-in campaign. There's a lot of people in the community that are supporting this write-in campaign. Also, there's a lot of people who are wondering, from a practicality standpoint, like, is this going to work? Like, especially, people are worried about our current mayor and getting someone else in office. Is this going to, hurt that? So, like, is this going, I'll even ask, because as someone myself, it's like I have skepticism about the process of being able to, usurp these powers. So, yeah, I'll throw it to you.
Yeah, I think about more than 4 years ago how Bernie Sanders was portrayed. Like, he was portrayed as such a long shot of a candidate. And then when you pay attention to the most recent iteration of his campaign, he was actually one of the, if not the strongest, right? And he got flushed out by the structures that were there, even within in his own party. And so kind of in this moment, it's one of those situations where, Ted is not adequate for the protections that we need. And we have Sarah running. And then we have Teresa. And Teresa didn't make it to, the runoff. But the question is ultimately, can Sarah or Ted better protect me than Teresa can? That is what, when you're voting for, you have to think about. Can Teresa better enact policies that will better affect my life? Has Teresa proven, through the fruits of her labor, that she can do things that will better protect and elevate Black people and other people through the advocacy that she's done in legal, through the advocacy that she's done in actually acquiring property where Black and brown people can thrive, and actually helping people who had no idea about certain systems actually understand them. And so my answer has been a whole round yes. And it's not in the face of, I'm not saying that the two people that are in the race are going to be my ultimate barrier, because that's a different type of supremacy where we have to work within the constraints of what's already there. Teresa Rayford should be our mayor in this time. And if we are seeing the revolts of the streets in the way that we are, it seems like no more of an obvious time to say Teresa Rayford for mayor and make that happen. There are two people who can step aside and make that happen at this point, though.
Okay. Well, it might be something we tackle again a little bit later. But as for tonight, that is our show. Remember, tune in here every week at 5 and keep your eyes and ears open for all the latest updates from Press Play Northwest. Again, we're back live tonight at 5:30 with special guest Rashid Jamal. If you want to do some last minute registration, you can go all over social media and hashtag PressPlayNW, or on Instagram and find Gentrification is Weird, or at Poinsettia Bruce. Also, you can find a link there. for your last minute registration. But we got one more song for you tonight. This is Streetlights by Rashid Jamal, again, our special guest tonight. And this has been Press Play Northwest Radio. I'm Bruce Poinsett.
And I'm Donovan Smith. And thank you for tuning in. And make sure to stay tuned for all the latest updates from Press Play Northwest. Because honestly, where else are you going to go?
Head up, DJ and Brett, we used to hoop in Langston after school. They locked the gate, we jumped the fence, that's what we had to do. Ain't no security, so trespassing you got to prove. And if you kick us off these courts, then y'all gon' have to sue. I'm paying dues, cause my mama can't afford the shoes that Jordan had on when they won title number 2. Even cluckers and gangsters wanted some action too. A great escape and perfect way to spend the afternoon. But when them street lights came on, everybody sang the same old song, I gotta go home. But when them street lights came on, everybody sang the same old song, I gotta. Basketball saved my life. Couple that with drug dealers' advice. Said something like, keep your head up through this bull, you might do something right. Watch your home can switch up in the heat of the night. I'm 13, thinking what the fuck, I'm loving the vibe. That Chronic album had me zoning in the passenger side. Getting followed by the feds, he told me hop out the ride. I dribbled to my mama's house and hope my folks didn't die. Recognize the strength and optimism, Jesus and sneakers. Me asleep on cash money, rapping, dreaming to be him. Block parties at the projects, a lot of life to digest. And somewhere in the process, the police started beefing. When them police lights come on, everybody sing the same old song, I wanna go home. When them police lights come on, everybody sing the same old song, I wanna. She was the sweetest thing that I've ever known. Commemorated with a shot of Patron on every song. I'm like that little kid of mine on Soul Food gone wrong. So many pictures I painted, tainted, remember the glow. Mariella, ain't no telling what this life would be like. Grandmama thought with kidney failure, probably crying at night. My behavior could be better, but I'm still getting right. So I'm preparing for that judgment when we live in the sky, right? But when the light of God come on, everybody sing the same old song, it's time to go home. But when the light of God come on, everybody sing the same old song, it's time to. My philosophy divided into dichotomies, ideologies, and I just plot to kill our father's seeds. Some on fertile land, but most will still get choked up by the weeds. Parabolic statements that I just found out ain't obsolete. I compete, but realize some things are not for me. You spend your life paying off debt for things you got for free. So many folks in pain and fear who live in poverty. So many suffer, even me, but baby, I believe. I'm on emo tapped in Hippocrates. Ride or die for my beliefs as if I'm Socrates. Thoughts black and dialing me back. Flipping the prophecy, battling negativity. Adolescents be conquering. And me and Marcus used to circle the mall, trying to get us some draws, like Yeezy said in that song, nigga. You know the motto, we ain't working at all. So every single time I call, you better pick up the phone, baby.